Last time, a wicked boarding school senior named Stephanie had to beg her former victim, Amara, for a job. Amara showed her mercy and hired her. But just when you think a story is over, life introduces a twist that changes everything. Now, a dangerous game of cat and mouse has started in this office. One is watching and one is searching. When Amara decided to forgive her old boarding school bully and give her a job, she honestly thought she was doing a good thing. Stephanie seemed completely broken and humbled by life. But in this life, you must never forget one thing. A wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf. Within just 2 weeks, the entire atmosphere in that building completely shifted. Sit down quietly. Let me tell you how this peace office turned into a psychological battlefield. Normally, there is a specific way people behave when they are new in a company. You know the vibes, especially in a high-stake Lagos corporate environment. They don't rush things. They stay at their desk. They mind their business, face their computer, and ask small questions. They try to understand the company politics and how everything works first. Because nobody wants to make a mistake on their first months. That's just normal man behavior. But Stephanie wasn't doing any of that. And that's where it started to feel a bit strange. When Stephanie resumed at Amara's company, nobody really paid her that much attention. To the rest of the staff, she was just another face, quiet, respectful, doing her job. Her executive assistant role was simple work. Stay close to Amara, handle schedules, manage the calendar, and help with internal coordination. That was it. Nothing that should cause noise. Nothing that should take her out of the executive suits. But very early, people started noticing something small. Stephanie was hardly ever at her desk. Like hardly. If you looked for her by 10 o'clock a.m., her chair was empty. Today, you see her in audit department, chatting with interns. Tomorrow, she's in procurement. The next day, she's just somehow sitting at the back inside a marketing strategy meeting. And the strangest part, nobody really sent her there. She wasn't assigned to any of those tasks. At first, people were even joking about it during lunch breaks at the cafeteria. Maybe this new girl just wants to show us that she's hardworking, no? Another one said, true, she probably wants Madam Amara to notice her quickly and promote her. And the funny thing is, at first, nobody really saw it as something serious. In a large office like that, people move around small anyway. You will see staff going from one department to another to check something, grab a document, or stretch their legs. So when Stephanie started doing it, people just assumed she was an overachiever, trying to learn the company inside out. But Amara didn't just accept things like that. She didn't build a successful career by ignoring her instincts. She watched first from her glass office. She kept an eye on Stephanie. But Stephanie wasn't just moving around. She was going to specific places. Not the behavior of a confused employee who got lost looking for the restroom. She was going to the audit department, procurement department, finance department, old record station, archived physical files. Things that absolutely had nothing to do with executive assistant's work. And that was where it started becoming uncomfortable. One afternoon, Amara called HR very casually. Where is Stephanie? HR checked.
She's in audit department again, ma.
Amara paused small. Again? Yes, ma. She said she's helping them arrange old files. Amara didn't even answer immediately. She just nodded slowly. But inside her mind, something already clicked. Because that answer didn't feel normal. Not in a bad way exactly, but not normal. Because why would an executive assistant be so desperate to handle dusty, old record files? And the thing is, Stephanie wasn't even trying to hide it well. She would rush and finish her assigned work early, just to disappear into the building. She started asking small questions from different staff members, questions that looked entirely innocent on the surface, but when you put them together, it started looking like a full investigation. Like one day, she asked someone in procurement,
how long does it usually take to process these types of requests?
Small question, but the person even paused, because why are you asking that kind of thing? Another day in audit, do you guys still have records from years back, like 2016, 2017? Again, small questions. At first, people just brushed it off, but in offices, people talk. Oh, they talk. During lunch break, one girl said, "This Stephanie safe, she's always everywhere." Oh. Another one laughed. Maybe she just likes learning things. But someone else just shook her head. No, this one is not learning. She's definitely looking for something. And that statement just sat there. Nobody even argued it. Meanwhile, Amara was not reacting immediately. She was watching. Because there is a type of employee you don't rush to confront. You observe first. You let them show you who they are slowly. And Stephanie was showing something. Slowly. Too consistently. Then one evening, Amara decided it was time to find out the truth. She stayed late in the office. Most people had gone home to beat the Lagos traffic. The floor was empty, with only the distant sound of cleaning staff moving buckets down the hall. Amara sat at her desk, opened the company's master system logs, and pulled up Stephanie's digital access history. She scrolled, and then she saw it. Stephanie's access history, audit files, procurement records, archived company documents, old contracts, different departments, same pattern, over and over again. Amara leaned back in her chair, just looking at it quietly. But inside, she already understood something. This is not normal curiosity. This is direction. And then, something else started forming in her mind. Because Amara remembered something about how our company grew, the contracts they won, the businesses they absorbed, the companies that disappeared along the way. Nothing illegal, but business is business. Some people rise, some people don't survive the competition. And buried somewhere deep in those old 2016 records that Stephanie was systematically searching through was a corporate name Amara hadn't thought about in over a decade, Adebayo Enterprises. The company that belonged to Stephanie's father before it collapsed completely. Amara didn't react loudly. She didn't scream. She just stared at the name for a moment, then closed the file, reopened it again, then closed it again. Because sometimes, when something heavy from the past shows up again, you don't immediately know what it means, but you feel it in your chest. The next morning, Stephanie came to work like nothing happened.
Good morning, Ma.
She said, smiling.
Morning.
But now, Amara was looking at her with dangerous attention. Not with open suspicion exactly, but with deep calculated focus. And Stephanie was still moving. Audit departments, procurement departments, marketing, HR, like she was walking through the company step by step. And now, it wasn't just trained to the office anymore. It was starting to feel completely intentional. One staff even joked about it. This girl, she fit enter CEO office tomorrow sef. She's everywhere. They all laughed. But the laugh wasn't fully relaxed anymore. Because deep down, everybody was starting to notice the tension. She was everywhere. Too everywhere. That same week, Amara made a strategic decision. She didn't stop Stephanie. She didn't block her user ID. She didn't question her directly. And she didn't even want the HR to flag her. Instead, she did something completely unexpected. She allowed it. She granted her more access, more freedom. Let her move. Let her look. Let her explore the deepest archives. Because now Amara wanted one thing. Not confusion, not assumption. She wanted the absolute truth. Whatever Stephanie was hunting for, Amara wanted to see it clearly. But what Amara didn't know yet was that Stephanie wasn't just randomly exploring. She wasn't guessing. She wasn't just curious. She was following a specific trail of breadcrumbs. Something connected to her family's downfall. Something that had been sitting quietly in the dark for years. And every department she entered was another piece of that puzzle. Then one night again, Amara stayed late. She opened her system. And this time, something clicked properly. Old procurement history, old company transitions, old contract ownership changes, and that name again, Adebayo Enterprises. This time, she didn't close it immediately. She just sat there thinking. But now, it wasn't just a name, it was becoming a connection. A link she didn't fully understand yet, but it was there. And somewhere else in that building that night, Stephanie was working late. She was alone. She was looking through files. She was slowly scrolling, not rushing, not confused. She was very focused. Too focused, and then she stopped. She just stared at the screen and whispered softly.
So this is where it started.
No anger, no emotion, just confirmation, like something she had been suspecting for a long time was finally showing itself. And that night, for the first time, the office didn't feel normal anymore. It felt like a battleground because now there were two women in that building. One is watching, one is searching. What do you think Stephanie just uncovered in those files? What do you think Amara will do now that she knows that her company is the target? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below and hit the subscribe button because part 3 is going to be pure chaos. Good night.